Hey guys, we are back with another wonderful episode of Dynasty
Queens.
Y'all know it. I'm Pamela Nicole, and I've got the beautiful, lovely, talented, vivacious.
My, Nia J. That was quite an intro. Okay.
Well, before we get started, guys, I do want to just shout out our sponsor. Huge thank you to Social Media Blast Off. Whether or not you're trying to just build your brand, you're an entrepreneur, you're an artist, whatever the case may be, Social Media Blast Off has you covered. They cover socials such as Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. So if y'all are artists too out there, you need your music out there, go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and scan the QR code down here for 40% off. Get your stuff started with socialmediablastoff.net. All right, my love, it is a new week, a new day.
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am. What are we discussing today, Miss Nia J?
You know what we're talking about today, guys? We're actually going to be lightly treading on the topic of female unity, togetherness, bonding. What is feminism? What is a feminist?
Mm-hmm.
What is anti-feminism? What does it mean? So just pretty much want to kind of peel back that onion a little bit. I know one of these can be like a very touchy topic for certain people, but I feel we need to have the discussion. Because guess what? There are too many hating ass hoes out here. Hello. What has happened over time? I just feel like as time progresses, the hater rage just gets a lot stronger. I don't feel, in my opinion, that we have that camaraderie that we should have as the female species. I feel that there's a lot of room for improvement, because if we were more unified and had like a similar vision, we could have made it a lot further in this world without all the division in between. So
what do you think could have happened though? Like from back in the days when, we screamed feminism and we needed equal rights and we have the same rights as men. And that was the biggest thing, to now, like, we don't even get support from each other. It's like we should have a sisterhood. And, what happened? What do you think happened, hon?
You know what happened? I think, back in the day, women were simple. Okay. What I mean by simple is we didn't work, especially Black women, but that's a whole nother...
That's a chapter. That's a whole chapter book.
But let's just talk about the average Caucasian woman in the United States, about 150 years ago. She didn't work. Even 100 years ago, she didn't work. Mm-hmm. She probably had at least 6 children, right? At least 6 to 10. She probably looked old and haggard by the time she was 40, and the beauty aesthetic really wasn't a thing at that time. Women's mentality was to take care of home, take care of the kids, and please your man. That was pretty much it. And I don't really think that, in those days, of course, I'm sure men have always been attracted to women because of looks, but especially in those days, I'm sure a man wanted a woman who could take care of home. She could have looked like Shrek's wife. Because girlfriends regardless. Remember, we're talking about, come on in. Mm-hmm. So we know back in the day, there's a lot of little love children all over the place. There's probably an uncle and aunt that people don't know about. You know what I'm saying? So all that kind of stuff has been around for a long time. But I just feel like moving into the 20th century, Black women included, all race women, we had certain associations with characters like Barbie. And, I think that probably was the first, along with like the supermodel era that kind of came in, like with the Twiggies and stuff back in the day. That whole thing and the 007 girl, I think the 60s were a time of like, let's sell sex. That Stepford wife thing is kind of like, it's not working. It's not sexy. Mm-hmm. We have TV, we have the movie theater. Like, we want to see something with some sex appeal. Let's try to, up the ante a little bit. So I think when that happened, the Barbie doll and 007 girl, the model, I think it kind of made some women kind of be like, hey, I'm not that. And it kind of probably put a, little bit of division between us, because now we're starting to look at ourselves as sex symbols, as, you know, perfect, you know what I'm saying, based on what we see in the media, you know?
I feel that. And just to, just to add on to that too, you're talking about Twiggy and, Barbie. That was a big day and age of Marilyn Monroe too. Like she, I'm a huge fan, so it's like just her sex appeal alone changed the face of the world, like during that time frame, And even then, like she was thicker. She was like, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was like a size 12. So she was like an average woman size, It wasn't even like she was like stick skinny or anything, but she was voluptuous for that time, And I think, like you're saying, that's definitely the time where people are like idolizing, but at the same time comparing. It's like, what do I need to do to get there? And I know you're all about fitness and everything like that. Have you ever seen like the exercise equipment from the 50s and 60s?
I don't really think I have. Was it very different than today?
Girl, it was like rubber bands, and they would sit, or they would stand in the rubber bands, and the rubber bands are like doing this and like around their stomachs and trying to like almost kind of like contouring their stomach without working out like what we would do nowadays. That was their working out. They would just stand there and let the like bands rub against their skin and just contour like their hips and their waist and stuff like that. So it's really strange. I'll have to send you a little bit.
But like you said, that's kind of like what's happening today. Because don't they have like the cupping and the, what's it called? The, the banding, all that stuff. You can go do like 45 to hour, 30-minute sessions. So,
yeah, for sure.
So that you think it's kind of like,
it's a little bit more on the tame side, what they were doing versus, doing like what they're doing now.
Surgery is like, hey.
And I think, go ahead, baby.
I was saying, well, do you think, and we'll take it back to your question, as I guess the sexual revolution kind of came into play, the vanity of the 50s and 60s is kind of making a comeback, like, because I mean, we can't forget about like the feminist movement and how like in the 70s, women were like, you know what, screw all that. I'm about to grow my armpits long and hairy. Okay. Not going to take a bath, burn these bra, whatever.
Right.
Like, I mean, is that what's happening? We're like really emphasizing the vanity more so than ever.
I definitely think so. Just because like I've said before, like every time you go on socials, you see the BBLs, you see all these girls trying to just get to some kind of hierarchy that I don't know if it's just almost an obsession at this point, because sometimes it's just too much. And I understand the mentality. It's like, I want this type of body, but you have to, the physical and the mental have to almost be in sync. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's not. So it's just, it's crazy to me just to see how we degressed. You know what I mean?
See, the thing about it, I definitely hear what you're saying. I'm not opposed to people getting surgery if it's for the right reasons. For example,
of course. Same.
If you need a tummy tuck, if you had 9 children, like there's a lady on Instagram, she has like a lot of followers, very large family. And she just had a tummy tuck, and she looks great. So I support if you need little nips and tucks, but just make sure that it's for the right reason.
Yes.
It's not like to please a man or somebody you're dating or married to, or it's for you. If you're going to do something like that, it's for you. And guess what? You do have to maintain it too.
True.
You got to maintain it. That's the route you're going to take. You got to maintain it. So, but as far as like the transition, I was watching a documentary about Barbie. It's like around the same time the movie came out in the summer.
Yeah.
And what they were saying was the first Barbie doll came out like 1957, 58, something like that. They purposely made her semi-attractive, but they said we didn't want her to be too pretty because we wanted the everyday girl to be able to relate to her.
Okay.
That was the first 3 years. By 1961, they said, no, Miss Ma'am. You're about to va boom Barbie up, okay? And Barbie came with the tits, and then she had, the curves and everything. Like the original Barbie didn't have tits, And they also, one thing that stood out, the original Barbie was made to look down. Her eyes did not look straight ahead. Like 1970, they changed it to where Barbie looked straight ahead. So you can actually kind of connect or correlate how the woman is changing in the modern world. You can kind of look at how the Barbie doll, made her journey. It's like, when did the disconnect happen with society where, screw 85% of those normal looking folks. We only care about the pretty people.
Jeez. I never really thought of it that way. Girl, I just can't. Like, just what you said, that, I look at it and it makes so much sense, because you go from being super submissive, you don't make eye contact, like you're saying, to that, era of, we can do it,
Exactly. But my thing is, unfortunately, that had good intentions, but it has a good side to it. The good side is that women were like, you know what? I'm going to lift my head up and I'm going to do whatever I want to do in this life, regardless of whatever. I get that. But it also created a monster on the other end of the spectrum,
Okay. Go ahead and elaborate a little bit about it. What monsters do you think, or what negative aspects have come from that, do you think?
The sense of, when a woman of status or a certain look carries herself a certain way. You know what I mean? I've heard people say, like Halle Berry, oh man, she's so down to earth when you meet her in real life. It's wonderful. People want to correlate beauty with someone who's nice, because it feels good. You want to see something aesthetically beautiful, and you want to assume that this person is just wonderful. That's why, social media influencers, male and female, people are, posting heart eyes and expressing their affection because you have a fantasy about this person that you don't know.
Yeah.
Because the shade room and all these other sites will let us know very clearly that some of these beautiful girls are cuckoo crazy. Okay. It's not all coming from here crying about some dude who don't give a damn. Okay. So they get exposed, right? The cuckoo crazy get exposed. But you assume it's the fantasy. You assume that something is so pretty and delicate and very feminine and it's going to be perfect, right? When in reality, nobody is. So that part of it, putting that pressure on women, especially in the entertainment industry, like we've done modeling and stuff, and you're always constantly having to compare yourself to the next girl. Am I going to book this gig? Does she have the look they're going for? This person may think I'm a better fit. All that kind of stuff. If you don't have tough skin, and you could speak on this too, you don't have tough skin, it's not going to work out.
Absolutely. Because you almost have to be like, and you have to have the mindset, like, they are going to tell me no. And just, you have to be like cutthroat with yourself. You're like, I may get this, I may not. And if I don't, that's fine, because there's other opportunities. I can say from experience, I have had photographers, they wanted just strictly Black girls to audition for, a shoot. I show up, I'm too light. I'm not Black enough. And, that was actually one of those shoots that really did bother me, but at the end of the day, I know who I am, and that's fine. I just kept going, and I've booked many more since then. But it's like things like that I've experienced. What about you?
I can look at both ends of the coin, because not only have I been in front of the camera as the model, the video girl, whatever the role was, I've also been behind the scene as a casting agent. Mm-hmm. So for me, of course, there's going to be castings where they want a Caucasian, they want a Latin, or they'll say they want a light skin or a Latin, or they'll say they want brown skin, dark skin, or just chocolate girls. You have to understand. I hate that they shouldn't have turned you away, though. Even if you show up, you're still supposed to let them,
Exactly.
But, you know what I mean? At least be kind about it. But when they put that in the fine print, that's what they mean. That's what the directors are looking for whatever the project is. So I get that. But it is hard for me sometimes, because I'm going to, share a real perspective here. Body size and image, it does mean a lot in this industry. So sometimes it's kind of hard to, kind of let some women down. But at the same time, getting into the beauty industry or entertainment world, you have to know the expectation, right?
Exactly.
You have to know that mainstream, whatever this is, it's a certain body type and size, and they have other avenues for other size people. They do. It's become I think a less biased world. Torrid models and Lane Bryant, they are making big change. Mm-hmm. There's that one girl, I think her name's like Ashley something, like she's big time plus size model, beautiful. Absolutely. So there's different avenues, but if you already know, I think going into the gig, just know like what the expectation is, because if I'm a realist, so I think that you should be a realist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you know that your size is not what they're looking for, like completely out of the ballpark,
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But don't let them dim your light, because there's other opportunities.
Period.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Always. And that was a good way of putting it, babe, because, like a lot of, I've met a lot of people that are like, I want it all. And I want to try for it all. And that's just not the way the world works, unfortunately, And I think, honestly, just from what we're talking about now, that also has caused a rift in us as females, because it's just like, well, what's wrong with me? Why did she get that? And some people, they can't change their body. They can't, they're built a certain way. And like you said, you got to kind of just go with where you fit in. And some girls, unfortunately, they don't know the difference. They haven't learned that part of, like, who they are, whatever,
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a fine line between body positivity. But then when you think about it, if somebody is morbidly obese, then that's not healthy for their life. That could actually cut their life short. So even the people, if you notice, like Monique from the past, remember she was plus size female empowerment, but then even at that, she went through a whole weight loss journey.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean that you don't love yourself. It's just a matter of being healthy. It's, it can be a lifestyle. But yes, to get back to the actual point of what you said,
mm-hmm.
The reason I brought up Barbie and everything, I feel like when we as women started to look at ourselves more as objects,
mm-hmm.
Sexual objects, which, like I said, it has a great positive aspect on how we, carry ourselves today versus the women of the past. But it created what I'm saying is little monsters.
Yeah.
On both sides of it. The monster who doesn't think she's as good as the next girl who's going to treat her a certain way. When the girl who's the it girl could be sweet as pie, but she's getting tortured by people who don't value themselves. Or on the flip side, the pretty pageant queen is the one who's the bully and the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit with me. So in looking at both sides of the coin, it could be negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel that.
You're feeling a certain way and you're going to perpetuate it on other people, depending on how you feel about yourself.
I totally feel that. I noticed, like, I don't know how it is out there in Atlanta, but there are small groups of women that they'll get together and just kind of brainstorm. Like, this is just like within the model community, brainstorm like activities and things to do, and just have, like, especially with Black women, it's just so important, especially out here, that we just stay connected and we keep up with each other. What are you doing here? It's almost like you and I do, like on a weekly basis, daily basis. Like, what are you doing? What are your goals? What do you have planned? Okay, what can I do as, your comrade to help you better yourself and just, stay united and build each other up, which is honestly what this platform is about too. We're all about empowering that and getting rid of all this negativity that is just gone around.
It's so much negativity today, and it's just like, I just think that's one of the things. Now, at the same time, jealousy is not something that's modern day.
No.
It has existed for a very long time. So I feel even when the domestic woman, she could still have it in her heart to hate another female.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, we like to bring up history a lot on this show, but I think it's for the best, because some people may not know the history. I'm going to take it back to our history. They had the field slave versus the house slave.
Mm-hmm.
I think those were very divisive tactics for the Black community that, the people in charge, the forces that be, made sure it was a domineering aspect of their mindset in their everyday life. They know that they see these light-skinned niggas in the house, okay? You know what I'm saying? Because some of these were the master's children.
For
They're
sure.
living in the house, cooking and stuff, even though the women did not have the best lifestyle. They're getting raped. Some of them became mistresses by choice because a lot of them were not wanting to be their willing partners. Hello.
Right.
So all of that was happening. And meanwhile, the other women are in the field, so kind of started some rifts there. And that was on purpose too,
It was so ugly. That's like the like spawn of colorism right then and there at that point.
That was the first spawn of colorism. And then the second wave happened when the HBCUs opened up and they had the fraternities and sororities, I know it's not that way today, but supposedly back in the day, AKAs were lighter than a brown bag or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the deltas were going to be brown bag to chocolate. Even the movie School Days, so we're not making this stuff up. This is stuff that really exists. That was, I think, when the Black colleges came, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That was another time we're like, oh,
Mm-hmm. For
the
sure.
light skin, dark skin, old as age, part of the Black trauma experience, I guess.
Right. Look, speaking of traumas, like, geez, Louise, and I didn't even think about that like aspect of it. It's just insane. Just as Black women, Black people, what we've gone through, but just, going with Black women, just, I guess what I'm trying to see, I'm all about love, I'm like a little gothic hippie, I'm all about the love. But what do you think we could do nowadays to just spread this unity, to help just unite people and get rid of all this ugliness? What do you think? What would you do, Nia J?
I have to think about that. That's a really heavy question.
It really is.
It's almost like asking me, what am I going to do to save the world? That's literally what you're asking me. What am I going to do to save the world? That's what it sounds like to me. Because I feel like we were able to come together, like for real, things would be so different. Like things would just be different. So what would I do? I would continue to do the work that people are doing now. I don't know if there's a solution to it. I feel sometimes we're too far gone because people already have it in their mindset from a very young age what a beauty standard is, or it's actually getting worse with social media. It's gotten, the past 15 years has been worse than ever. Yeah. Worse than the magazines and, the TV shows when, it's like now you get to be in these people's everyday life and see what they're doing. And either you're going to love them or be a straight up hater. It's like the Selena effect, Yes. That is the ultimate story of what was supposed to be feminine, beautiful energy and love turned to like a completely jealous rage. Because remember, this woman was Selena's biggest fan. She started her fan club. Wow.
That's
close to a person.
Jeez. But what the killer part about that is? The age gap. You have Selena, she was young, vivacious, in her 20s. And then you got Yolanda Saldívar, and she's like, I don't even know how old she was, but she was older. So it's just like, man, like, make it make sense.
It's like, wow. But you know what? That's how most haters, they really are in love with the person they're hating. Yolanda is a perfect example of that. I feel she was obsessed with Selena. Oh my gosh, she's so wonderful. But then somewhere in that clockwork in her brain, it became, oh, she's so wonderful. I hate her because I'm not that. When that happens, when it goes from idolizing the person to absolutely loathing them so much, because now you're realizing, oh, it's the ego. It's someone who idolizes somebody like that. Yeah. They have a crazy, insane ego because they're looking at this person as what they wish they could be, and they know they can never be. That is deep. That is at the heart of an evil person with an evil spirit who could never manifest into anything great because you have had evil
In
just
your heart.
all over you. Like it doesn't get worse than that. The president of the fan club.
Come on now.
Really?
But you know what really trips me out about that too? All the things that you just said, the psychologist in me, immediately I went left and said mental illness. Hello, sociopath, mental illness. However, it could just not be mental illness at all, and a lot of people get that crutch and that handicap of, oh, they're mentally ill. They did this because, they're unstable. And it's not that. Like you said, that is just pure evil in every form.
Honey, Yolanda was nothing. It was nothing mentally ill about Yolanda. She was the ultimate hater. She was willing to throw her life away just so that young lady couldn't live and fulfill out her true purpose and her true destiny. Because I do believe that we are destined, and I don't think her journey was done. I don't think God makes mistakes, but I do think that interferences can happen.
For sure. Because
you can't explain it any other way. When someone is selected at random to be robbed or murdered or whatever in a shopping strip, that is random.
Yeah.
That is absolutely random.
It is.
Absolutely random. So I don't think that God was like, hey, I want you to die getting murdered. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. He just lets it be,
Right.
So I feel like she could have done more. That's my point. If you're not taken out by something else, something like that, a murder, no, that's the same as suicide. It wasn't that person's time. So I just think it's really horrible. And it just, I don't know what we can do. We have to start making little girls feel at a very, very young age that they are special, regardless. Yes.
I agree. You know what company does a wonderful job? And of course, we're not sponsored by them, but I do love love everything they do for our young grown-up, for our young people. Dove. I don't know if you've seen any of Dove's commercials, but they'll have like the little girl looking on socials and, she's like, well, I don't look like that. And it's just like, you don't have to look like that. And they've always been so body positive and inclusive to all women. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they really strive on just teaching the youth, like, you're perfect the way you are. Don't worry about socials. And I'm all about that campaign. That's a beautiful thing. Like, I think that a lot of companies need to get on the bandwagon, and start, just doing things for children, especially like my little girls. Like, they both know they're pretty, but just to be humble and, spread that love to other children. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely, yes, for sure. I think that you just hit the nail on the head when it comes to attractive children or people, to teach them to be humble, teach them to understand that you're not better than any other person. We all, underneath, the facade of the physical, we all breathe the same. We have lungs, a heart, a brain, and so the basic anatomy is the same, but looks fade, so you have to have more going on for yourself. Right? So I think if we kind of instill those values in little girls when they're younger, it can kind of help, Yeah,
for sure.
Change things around. But at the same time, social media is not going anywhere.
No.
And I just hate to say sometimes the negative impacts of things can outweigh the good. The same way if somebody under a post, it could be 1,000 positive comments, but if the person sees 2 negative, they are quicker to respond to those 1 or 2 negative comments than the 1,000 positive ones.
Exactly.
Because we're kind of hardwired to, for our own protection, it's, hey, what's bad? What's bad? What's bad?
And it's like, oh, dang, But I think at the same time, you got to have that mind frame of like, you have to take the good with the bad. And I think a lot of people don't know how to equally do that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be like my mom always says, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You just have to be happy with what you got and work with what you got, So
You know, I'm excited about the kind of sidebar, but not really. I'm excited about the Renaissance movie that's coming out. Beyonce's going to have it in AMC theaters. I just heard the announcement. So that's happening. But I'm pretty sure, and we'll probably see this in the documentary, she probably had to really profess that to Blue Ivy before she hit the stage for the first time.
Yes.
You have to prepare your child. The stuff that she would know. She was a child performer.
Right.
She wasn't performing in front of 70,000 people. Maybe a crowd of like 50 at like a Houston Beauty Expo, you know? For real.
Yeah.
Or in the Walmart parking lot. That's the kind of stuff they were doing.
Right.
So I'm sure she's had many conversations, and even more since the tour started. Hey, you gotta have tough skin if you want to really get into this. Okay, you're old enough, let's go. But just know, everybody's not gonna like you. Everybody's not gonna love you just because you're my child. People are gonna come for you, and you have to be ready.
Right.
And on the flip side, she's probably teaching her how to be humble and really appreciative of the love that she's receiving. Because I see it when the clips, we all see the clips, they pop up on the Explore.
Yeah, right.
The dances and stuff. And then she seems so grateful when they're like, yay, Blue. And she's like, oh, you know, that to me shows that the mom's doing a good job of raising her right. That she's appreciative and not like, oh.
Like, I know.
Because, I mean, quite honestly, if you don't have a fan base, you don't make $240 million in 4 months.
No, right. You
know? So I feel like Beyonce's always been very appreciative of her fans. Mm-hmm. She knows that they're the ones who made her filthy rich. Hello. So you have to love them. So I think she's instilling that into her child. So I think that's a really good example of, okay, how do you start with that positive feminine energy? How do you start young? If you're going to have a child who's thrown into the entertainment industry, especially if your parents are two of the biggest people ever,
right?
You have to have her prepared and teach her how to be humble. Because if not, it's not going to work out well.
Agreed. I completely agree. Completely agree. You know, another child star I would say would be like similar to that would be Willow Smith. I think that Will and Jada have done a phenomenal job with that girl. And you don't hear anything about her in the media. She's doing her little goth rock. Right. And, you know, she's doing her thing. And, you know, she's wonderful, honestly. Mm-hmm. And even though, you know, Will Smith has had his, you know, this and that or whatever, they're doing a good job with those kids, I feel like. You know, that's another great example of, you know, parents keeping the kids on the right track.
You know who else I think did a really good job back in the day was Diana Ross with Tracy Ellis.
Oh, yes.
I just love her. Yeah. I feel she's so down to earth, and she's just like, I think if I meet her, I think we would have a really cool conversation, you know?
For sure.
Like over a drink or something. She just seems like she's that lady, like, you know? So I think that's another example of someone who doesn't seem all, you know.
Exactly.
Because we have those too. We have those too.
For sure, girl. Oh, man.
If you ever used to watch, what was that show on MTV back in our day? What was it? The Hills and all that.
Oh, yeah. The
Lauren Conrad, Andrea Patrick's.
Man.
Privileged, and I know it, you know, that type of mentality.
Beyond privileged. And it's just like, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, it's fine. And we were so immersed into that, you know, like that was the it show, you know, when we were coming up and stuff.
Because you know, we didn't have, when we were teenagers, we didn't have Instagram. That came when I was like in my 20s. Yes. You know what show is the closest thing I could compare to Instagram present day?
I don't know if you ever watched the Nickelodeon The Inn. It was like the nighttime teen channel. So it turned from Nickelodeon to The Inn. And they aired Degrassi. Degrassi, where actually Drake started his whole entire career with Degrassi. Yeah. It was my Friday night situation, and it just covered, you know, being queer. It covered bullying. It covered eating disorders. It covered literally everything. It was so real and so in the moment, you know, and it was way ahead of its time. Like the whole show, you know, school shootings, like everything you can imagine.
Yeah, all those topics.
It's crazy. So that was like our Instagram.
Yeah, all those shows. All those shows were on our Instagram, MTV, and like you said, I think they called it, was it Noggin or something? Whatever.
The end, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean,
man,
it just was, you know, a movie that I used to love. I used to love the Cheetah Girls.
Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Sister.
I used to love the Cheetah Girls. You know, stuff like that. You remember that show, Taina?
Yes, girl.
It's just so much stuff, you know, so that's what we had. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I used to watch all that stuff. Clarissa Says It All, or whatever. I used to watch all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not rare for young women to look to older influencers, actresses, whatever. We didn't use the word influencers in our day. We said, you know, a celebrity, female celebrity. It's common. It's like, you know, but there's, as long as you understand that you are your own person, this person can inspire you to do something great, but you should not want to be them.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the whole thing about impersonators for me, it's almost like, you know,
is it cringy?
Impersonators and share and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about impersonators. I just feel like you should have your own identity. But I know if the money is good, then it's like, you know, hey.
I could just see you now. If somebody showed up like as a Nia J impersonator, you would just be you would cringe. I know you would.
I would. And that's the same way I feel about all of the fake accounts and pages that exist with me now. And they're like liking, the way I find this stuff is by looking at my stories. And then I see them hearting everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, this person has my face as their profile picture. And there's actual scammers too. There's actual scammers out there telling people I can flip your money, this and that. And they have my picture, and I'm just like, no. I don't want any of that smoke when the feds come knocking. I don't want none of it, you know? So, disclaimer, that is not me. My page is verified, okay? Nia J _fitness, I'm verified. Any other page that you see, I have to plug this in, y'all. Any other page that you see, it is not me. I'm not scamming or anything like that. Legit platforms like Dynasty Queens, hello.
Samesies, because this year I've actually started to experience this, even on Facebook. And I'm like, you went back in the archives to get these pictures. And I'm just like, damn, when did I take this picture? Like, and I got to go back in time. And I'm like, this is from 2009. What's she really doing? Come on now. Like,
rolling, honeys, rolling.
Ooh, this one. No, stop.
They are in love. They are obsessed.
Oh, Lord.
I can't blame them though.
Man, baby. Right back at you.
Right. It's crazy. Like, you know, sometimes I want to just be like, who is this person? And if they don't have ill intent, if they're really just that obsessed and want to use me as catfish, I'm going to shake them and be like, why? Just be yourself. That's another thing. Catfish, girl.
Ooh, girl.
That show tripped me out.
Did you see the movie before the show?
No, I've never seen the movie.
You got to see the movie that started the show. That, man. Back in the MySpace days and when you were just copy pasting, like, oh, let me see what I can get. Let me see if he'll date me. And then the thing that kills me, you fall in love with this person knowing you don't look this way and giving them that dream, the illusion of, oh, this is me, you know, and we're having this conversation, but I can't FaceTime you or whatever it was back then, you know. I can't get on Skype. I can't do this. I can't do that. But just please believe it's me. Like, be for real now.
That's the craziest part to me. It's like, okay, if I'm not within the first couple days talking to you, at least back then, talking to you on the phone, it's everything virtual. And by the time FaceTime came around, there's no excuse to be catfished.
Absolutely.
There was even before, you know, the iPhone, you could talk to people through the, you know, computer.
Right.
So there's, for a long time, for at least 20 years, there's been a way that you can virtually talk to somebody, whether it be, you know, phone call or talking through like some type of whatever they had back then. The chats where you could have cameras and stuff, the early computer, whatever. There was a way. If we can't meet in person, that right there should solidify this is not a real person. Okay.
But you know what the crazy thing is nowadays? Like, even just say like you don't want to meet right away. There's deep fakes where you can just have somebody's voice, you can have somebody's face, and it's not even that person, and it just looks like how you and I are talking right now, you know? And it's insane how much technology has progressed and advanced. So you can just do that and still be catfishing somebody.
Yeah, that's like the AI, all that stuff what you're talking about. That's really scary. It's really, because you can almost like make a voice sound anyway. Yeah. It's just like, it's crazy. So that's a whole nother lane, a whole nother avenue to cover. But yeah, I really wanted to quickly touch on the whole situation with Lizzo. Yes. Because she is supposed to be a representative for, the thicker community. She's supposed to be their advocate, but girl, there's allegations and scandals and whatnot. What do you think about that?
Ooh, I really honestly, when I heard about like what was being said and what she was telling her workers, it's like, you're not happy with yourself, or you have let so many negative people influence the way you view yourself. That's just the way I think about it. Because I've been thick before and people have said things. Usually I just let it roll off, but there becomes a time where it's just kind of like, well, damn. And it puts you in a bad mood and it makes you feel bad. And you don't realize the effect it has on the people around you when you are like down because of something somebody said. You know what I mean? I really feel that she has so much negativity, because anytime I see anything about Lizzo or I hear someone else talking about Lizzo, it's never anything good, even before all these allegations. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, I feel that she's just taken on so much negativity that she just doesn't even know how to differentiate it from reality versus like virtual stuff. You know what I mean? So I can believe that she said some of the things she said. I really can. It's ugly, and I really think that she just needs to take a step back and self-reflect and just be happy for what she's doing. She's got her Yitty brand, which is amazing. And, she's doing really great things. So there's really no reason to treat other people like shit. Just honestly.
Straight to the point, there is no reason to treat somebody like shit. Like for what? I don't know. I believe the allegations. And I just don't feel like all these people will just be coming out. Like for what? What would they have to gain? It's kind of a lot. Some of the stuff is really like, I don't want to use the word embarrassing because it's not their fault, but it's like, damn, really? Like you really told these people that, Lizzo?
Yeah. And it's just
really.
Not like...
So I don't know. I don't know what the legal ramifications are, what's going on. So of course, let her have her day in court or whatever, or they're going to do the civil thing. Just let them handle that and then move on with your career. Things happen, there's always two sides to every story. So yes, all the allegations could be true. We don't know what the other party did first. So
yeah, I just hope that, she, after all the trial and everything, I just really hope that she can just come into herself and just love herself to where she's not putting all that nasty stuff out, and being ugly to people. Like those people work hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't deserve that. They really don't.
And that's the thing right there. How are we supposed to, you asked me the question earlier. Literally, you asked me, what am I supposed to do to save the world? That's what I heard.
Yes.
So like for us to unify, like the way you're saying, how can we do so when one of the top 10 idols of the past 10 years is, supposedly be treating people this way?
Mm-hmm.
When she's not spewing the positivity that she's supposed to represent for her fan base and the women that she represents and all that good stuff, when you're not being a true proficient role model. But at the same time, a lot of people will tell you, what, I'm an artist. I don't want to be a role model. I just make music or I just act. I'm not. It kind of comes with the territory, though. You're expected to be, a true representative of, the people. But everybody is not. They're in it for the almighty dollar. Screw everybody else. And everyone who's in my way, so people have that mentality. Everybody's not, oh, I'm so grateful I made it. Let me give that. Everybody doesn't have that on their heart. Mm-hmm. Some people are vindictive and like, ha, 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 here I am. Everybody cannot handle power and influence.
That
it can turn you nasty,
And I think, honestly, one of the most positive, influential artists right now to this day, and I think is the only person I've seen in a very long time, aside from Beyonce, Taylor Swift is phenomenal with her fan base. She's a great role model for little girls. And just to have that, I've never heard anything negative about the girl, That girl is just full of energy. She's vivacious. She's positive 24/7, And you look at the people that she surrounds herself with too, like Selena Gomez, she's got good people that are also, humanitarians that are doing wonderful things for this world that are in her circle. I think to answer part of the question I asked you, you have to just bounce that off of your people. So you have your group bounce those ideas off. And then, because like I told you with the groups out here, you start that cycle and you just have that positive energy, just continue and continue. And you just reach out and you just, turn those frowns upside down.
Right.
Start a movement, honestly.
It's so funny you said crowns. I was just watching, I love documentaries. I was just watching the one about the Miss USA scandal from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about the scandal?
I heard about it, yeah.
Okay. So to catch the viewers up, and by all means, Crystal, this is the way I'm about to talk about. Please, if you want to come on Dynasty Queens and clear the air before I get into the story, come on the show, girl. Let's talk about it. Crystal is from Houston, Texas, our hometown. And she won Miss USA back in 2008. I mean, remember, she's beautiful, caramel to brown skin lady with green eyes, gorgeous smile, 5'9" plus. I remember vividly when she won because she was all over the place. And of course, she was on all of the local, 97.9, The Box, and 102, and all these, even her and television and then mainstream television. She was all over the place. I remember her. And then she was in the movie with Taraji and what was that movie called? When Taraji went crazy, when the dude, what was that movie called? Oh, we talked about this on another episode.
Oh my God.
She was in that movie. She was the second wife in that movie. So Crystal's done her thing. But in 2020, she acquired the Miss USA pageant under the Miss Universe umbrella. So what that means, she's the first person to ever be a franchisee for Miss USA.
Yeah.
So she was able to profit off of being, the president or whatever, all that good stuff. So, girl, she had it set up and rigged for Miss Texas to win. Miss Texas won both Miss USA and Miss Universe. Miss Texas went to her independent pageant back in Houston, did all the training. The top 17, top 10, the top 8, top 3 all went to Crystal's Beauty Academy in Houston. So it was contrived and everything. And also her husband was coming onto the pageant contestants and sexually inappropriate. It was just a lot. So when you look at stuff like that, now they're rigging the pageants. It's just this woman, once again, is supposed to be someone who's a role model and in a positive light. And she also was interviewed on the show too. So she kind of said her thing and spoke her piece. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna leave it at that. But Crystal, if you want to come on to Dynasty Queens and talk about it, two of your own H-Town gals ready to talk to you.
We're ready. Come on.
So there's always two sides to every story. But yeah, I mean, Pam, I'm gonna let you close us out. What's the answer to all this? Because we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. We did. Just going back to the main thing of this female unity, we got to do better, ladies. I just don't know how else to say this, but just look at, if y'all are moms, aunties, whatever, you have small people around you, look at what we're building for them. Is that the world you want them to grow up in, with all the hatred, the colorism, the whatever you want to call it, the jealousy? Is that what we want for these little bitty babies? I don't want that for mine, you know? So I really feel like we need to just give each other hugs, kumbaya, and figure it out and just be united, you know, empower each other and just stick to positive things. That's what I think. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Let us know what y'all would do or how y'all would save the world, as Nia likes to say. But thank y'all so much, everybody, for tuning into Dynasty Queens this week. Once again, I am Pamela Nicole, and I've got the lovely
Nia J.
And that's Dynasty Queens. Until next week. See ya.